Recording space. Okay, well, good afternoon and welcome everyone to part 2 of our LinkedIn and the Job Search series. My name is Catherine Tuttle and I am the Alumni Career Services Coordinator here in the NC State Alumni Association, and want to welcome you and thank you all for joining us. I'm assuming that most of you attended part 1, so I hope that you have had some time to get on LinkedIn, play around, and apply what you learned in that session. In part 1, we covered the basics of the site, so how to get set up, how to make connections, and how to start building your online brand. But in this session, we're going to go into much more detail in terms of how do you actually use LinkedIn to find a job. We shared an important statistic at the beginning of last session, and I want to reiterate that more than 80% of companies are now using social media for recruiting talent. And of that 80%, 95% are using LinkedIn. So knowing how to use this site in a job search effectively and efficiently is important. Of course, I am once again thrilled to have Aaron Swart here with us to lead our discussion. Again, he's a 96 grad from NC State and the CEO of Panorama Personal Development Group, a company that focuses on creating and delivering sustainable personal and online branding strategies. Again, just in case some of you weren't on the first session, a couple of housekeeping items. We'll be taking questions periodically throughout the session. So if you have a question and you have a headset, feel free to raise your hand and we'll be happy to kind of let you ask that question live. Or if you feel more comfortable, you'll see the chat box below. Feel free to just type your questions in, and as they come up, I will alert Aaron and we'll take questions that way. We definitely want this to be interactive, and we want to spend time in places that are important to you. So again, feel free to kind of pipe in throughout the presentation. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Aaron and we'll get started.
Okay, thank you, Catherine, very much. I'm looking forward to the second part in the series here. Thanks for coming online and participating, everyone. Again, as Catherine suggested, we want this to be an interactive session, so feel free to ask questions as we go, and we will certainly do our best to answer them as well as we can. So in this second part, I want to go over some objectives really quickly. Again, we're assuming that you have created a LinkedIn profile, that you're able to navigate through that profile proficiently at this point. So we're going to go through some step 2 objectives. The first would be just in how to search for a job and how to apply for a job online with LinkedIn, and some strategies surrounding those things. We also want to talk about joining and networking with groups on LinkedIn for your job and career search. We want to look at how to add videos, images, and documents that you want folks in your network and your connections to see, your professional development and your presentations that you've done. We want to go through some gentle reminders at the end of the presentation, and of course, we want to have a question and answer session, but we want to make this as interactive as possible, so we could just do this along the way as well. First thing I want you to do is, if you are in front of a computer, it would be great if you could go ahead and log into your LinkedIn account and turn off your activity broadcasts, because I want you to walk through this with me so that you're able to see how to navigate with these job searches and groups. So go ahead and turn off your activity broadcast. The way we do that, of course, is to go to your profile like I just showed you here and go to Settings underneath your name. And then the next portion, you're going to see the settings arena on your page, and then down at the bottom where it says Privacy Controls, you're going to turn off your activity broadcast right here at this link. So once you have done that and clicked that link, you will see a message box come up that says, by selecting this option, your activity updates will be shared in your activity feed. Go ahead and uncheck that box so that people will not see your activity as you begin to, again, edit and navigate through your LinkedIn page. And I'm going to leave some directions on this presentation. After we're finished here, you can go back to this and refer to it just in case you need them. So let's talk a little bit about your job hunt with LinkedIn. Just some information as we begin. There are several ways to look for and manage your job search on LinkedIn. So please don't feel like we're limited to one way. We're able to see different options in how to do that. And you can target companies and your connections for career opportunities with LinkedIn. It's actually encouraged. Please be creative with your searching. As we go through, you may have some questions as to how we can do this in other ways, and we're certainly open to talking about that and to learning new ways to search. Be targeted and specific. It is very easy to start searching online and of course on LinkedIn for different jobs with different companies, but be targeted and specific so that you are able to stay focused. And as we talked about in the last presentation, we talked about the 3 C's with connection, competence, and consistency. When we're hunting for jobs on LinkedIn, our first point of connection is using those connections that you have as a way to get your foot in the door. That's a good thing. That's encouraged by LinkedIn. Your network can introduce you to hiring managers and refer you as well. Your past networking and keeping in touch with your contacts will serve you well in the future. I recommend you not just connecting with folks and then forgetting about them or moving into a particular job or part-time work or whatever you're doing and not keeping up with your network. You want to stay in touch with them. So in showing your competence as you begin your job hunt on LinkedIn, go ahead and understand the politics of networking well. You're going to see a lot of that on LinkedIn, and the process I'm going to show you how to connect with folks who can refer you for specific jobs within an industry or a company. Shameless promotion doesn't work. We all assume that and know that. But in marketing ourselves, there's a really great way to do that, and then a way that might appear to be a little obnoxious. So we want to do it the right way on LinkedIn. Always use simple and direct language when you are applying for a position on LinkedIn or connecting with someone who might know the hiring manager in a company that has a posting on LinkedIn. Always support your brand by being selective. I say that because the jobs that you are searching for and the careers that you're searching for online with LinkedIn, stay in that general area when you're networking. This is all part of your brand, the things that you offer the world and what's going to happen as a result, the things that your skills, your assets that you are bringing to the table. And of course, with your consistency, your brand should match your job search strategy and the actual search itself. It's just helpful to you to stay consistent with it. And my recommendation is not picking whatever comes your way and applying for pretty much everything in the field. Your connections are going to begin to notice that you're not focused, and they may shy away from referring you. So again, communicate the same messages when you're contacting potential employers and connections, possible connections as well as those you have that are in your network for companies that you're targeting. Always be authentic, and for some folks this is a little more frustrating and hard to do. We're all authentic in what we do, but displaying that authenticity, I just encourage it. All right, so as we move into our career search in the application process, when you land on your landing page, when you log in and you click on Profile, get to the profile, go up to the top bar there and see where it says Jobs in the black bar in blue letters, and then highlight the jobs with your cursor, and then you will see a drop-down box come.
Aaron.
Yes.
It looks like Roy has a question. So Roy, what you can do is actually click on the top button, and you should be able to ask Aaron your question live. So I'm going to let you try and do that.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Roy.
Hi there, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Just really two quick questions. Number one, there seems to be, a tug and a pull about the number of contacts. Like you said, I like to keep up with my contacts, but more and more people are asking me, LinkedIn with me, and there's some, I guess, belief that the more you have, the better chances you are to land that better job. And my second question is about if you're looking for temporary work, if you're in transition, should you change your profile a little bit, or is that the problem that you were alluding to just earlier, that might confuse people?
Okay, so I'll go ahead and answer by saying the first piece of that is that you want to be authentic. When you are making connections with folks, they need to be meaningful and targeted for your career as well as your professional development. So I would say that the more contacts you have that are a result of a face-to-face conversation or a networking event or knowing someone else who is connected with that individual, the better you are. The numbers game really doesn't work with LinkedIn. LinkedIn really distracts people from linking in with whoever and however. And the second piece is when you are looking for work, LinkedIn tells companies to really target the passive candidate, those who are not appearing to be looking for work but who are thriving in their community, either with a current position on a board or a volunteer position or just doing well in their own career. So my advice to you is to not plaster your need for looking for a job or for your next opportunity using LinkedIn.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, if you can, go ahead and deactivate your mic, please. Okay, so as we move forward, I want you to go ahead and click on jobs there and let that drop down come up. Okay. Highlight finding jobs with your cursor. And then you'll come to a page that looks similar to this. Now, this page has a lot of activity going on with it. First, if you'll notice, you have your keyword search here with job title, with words you want to search for, or even the company name that you want to type into this bar right here. Now, if you'll go over to the right, this is more of a corporate or company advertisement that LinkedIn has set. If you are hiring, you can post a job with LinkedIn, and that's a whole other world here. So as a candidate, you can also save jobs that you have either applied for or are interested in applying for in the future, and you have them saved, and you're ready to just go back to it instead of going through this search again. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is type in the words in the box here, Director of Marketing. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to bring about a lot of results that are close to me within a 50-mile radius. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the results that LinkedIn will give us when we type in Director of Marketing. So here you see on the left-hand side in the job search a more thorough categorization of what you're looking for and how LinkedIn will search for jobs, either with a keyword search, a job title, or a company. The location you're going to want to specify near you or within 50 miles, 100 miles, however it is. And if you're wanting to get a job out of state or start a career even in another country, you can do that. So I have, of course, listed my zip code here within a 50-mile radius. Okay, so this is what has come up here. And I have not scrolled down with this particular screenshot. There are 45 jobs that have come up as a result of my keyword search of Director of Marketing. So the next screen shows that I have actually highlighted this market manager with this particular company, and it's called School Dude. This is actually a great, thriving company in Cary. And notice how when I look at each job that has come up in my job search, that LinkedIn will show me the connections that I have of folks who can refer me to this particular job post. Okay? So when I go here, I look and I see that Sean, a fraternity brother of mine, actually has a connection here. So what I have decided to do, because I want to pursue this particular job of market manager with School Dude, I go ahead and click on Sean's profile here under the job itself. And before I've done that, what I'm going to do is save the job search itself so that I don't have to come back and do this again. So when you save a job down here, when you click on Save, this screen will come up with your search name, Director of Marketing, and I want to have an email sent to me weekly, not daily, but weekly, about this particular job search. So once I've done that, LinkedIn tells me that I've saved that search. So from now on, I'm going to receive a weekly email about Director of Marketing positions within a 50-mile radius on LinkedIn, just for me. So again, I'm going to come back, like I just said, and go to Sean with the job, the particular job that he's listed. And I'm going to take a look at the position itself. I'm going to go through the job description, the major responsibilities, and notice again on the right-hand side that Sean and Barbara are connections that can refer me to this person right here. She is actually the HR manager at School Dude who has posted the job on LinkedIn. This is a very important piece of actually connecting using folks that are in your network with folks who are posting jobs. So the next screen, once you've clicked on that, you'll find that I've requested Lauren to take a look right here. You'll see the message at Sean Lloyd's particular recommendation for my qualifications. I've already had a conversation with Sean before I do this. Please know that it's important that if you're going to send this kind of message, that your connection that you want to speak well of you knows that you're doing it. Okay, it's very important. And of course, LinkedIn is telling you, go ahead and mention the people that you know in this message and limit it to 100 words. Okay, again, like I said before, be very simple and direct in your message. So when you go to search for a job, you can do it searching for companies. So again, when you see this screen, we're going to talk a little bit about how we can search companies to look for positions. Again, the black bar, you'll come over here to companies and actually hover over that, and this drop-down box will appear. And it will be specific to how you have actually searched in the past or for companies that you are actually following. Okay? So then you're going to search companies. Once you have had that drop-down box appear, you're going to click on Search Companies. It's going to highlight in blue. And then you're going to come again, a very similar platform where you actually can type in the name of a company that you wish to target in your strategy for your brand and for your career. Now notice here on the right-hand side that LinkedIn suggests companies that I may want to follow. Again, very simple to follow a company. You just click on the company itself. It will come up on the screen. It will have on the right-hand side, follow. So what I have done is I have decided to search for Quintiles here in Research Triangle Park. Quintiles is a pharmaceutical company, a very large pharmaceutical company that is actually doing very, very well. And I wanted to go ahead and seek a position with Quintiles. So what I'm doing now is I've decided to type that in. It's going to show up in the pop-up box. So I'm going to click on that and let it go into the box. So from here you will see when I've typed in Quintiles, we have 20 results show up. There are different facets of Quintiles, different groups, but this is the main corporate office here in Raleigh-Durham. Notice when we take a look at this, I've gone ahead and clicked it so it's showing up in blue here, that there are 442 people in my network who are associated in some way with Quintiles, and I have 66 job postings that have come up. This is very important to take a look at once you have searched the companies. The data that LinkedIn puts forward here is very simple and quick so that you can search for those positions and actually click on these links here. But notice that I have 4 direct connections, okay, where I am able to network with them and look for jobs and actually ask them to refer me. So once I've clicked on the company page itself, again, you'll see how I'm connected to Quintiles. I have 2 first-degree connections and 2 second-degree connections, Carmen Alou and Ray. So I have 2 folks here that are first-degree that I would probably want to communicate with first. Okay, and so you'll notice that I'm following Quintiles, and I want to be following them simply because I want to find a job, right? So I want to go ahead and make sure that I'm in on what is happening with their recent updates and their feeds, as well as what's going on in their careers. So as I move further into the careers section of Quintiles, remember I was here before at home, now I'm on careers. I've clicked on this button here. So now you'll see again the 4 people that I'm connected with, and then over here on the right are all the jobs that are listed. And of course you can't see all of them, but I have chosen right here for Quintiles to click on Associate Director of Business Intelligence because I want to stay in Durham and I feel like I've got a good shot at this job. So once I've clicked on that particular position here, you will see that the job description comes up, the desired skills and experience again, but you'll look on the right now, you'll see that you can apply on the company website, but take a look at this right here. This says that this particular position is a hidden gem. The reason LinkedIn is posting this particular notice is because only 5 people have clicked on the job. You have the ability to save the job here in your Save Jobs section so that you don't have to go back and search for it again. This is also a very important thing for your network. If you know someone, if you've run across this job, not necessarily in a targeted search for yourself, but if you know someone who is looking for a job with Quintiles in business intelligence, share that job with them. This is a great way to network and give back. The lower half of the page that finishes off the job functions, experience needed, it will show you the posted date, the type of job, whether it be full-time or part-time, the job, the number, the referral, the ID, and all of those things. And again, this company has decided to divert your attention away from LinkedIn and to apply on the company website. Some companies will actually have a button where you can apply on LinkedIn altogether. This part is very important. If you'll take a look at this little box right here on the right, again, it's going to be on the lower half of the job descriptions that are posted on LinkedIn. There are similar jobs posted here. This job is in LA, this one in Florida, this one in Maryland, and so forth. So these are all titles Director of Business Intelligence or closely related to business intelligence positions. So that is also a very good tool for you in case you need to continue to apply for jobs within your discipline and you are willing to relocate. So the next portion of being able to look for... Yes.
Sorry, we don't have a question, but I just want to reiterate what you said about sharing the job. I think oftentimes we think of networking in terms of ourselves and what we can get out of it, and obviously that is a component of the process, but the more you give back and the more you put yourself out there and share things with people and serve as a resource, the more it's going to come back to you. So taking the time to be a resource is just so important. So I wanted to reiterate that before we moved on.
Yeah, thank you for that. I totally agree with you. Okay, so when we go and look for jobs, there's another way we can do that on LinkedIn. We want to go to groups, and when we're searching for career opportunities, we can actually use groups that we have joined or groups that we may not even know exist yet to help us find a good job. So here, groups, when you hover over that, you're going to have a drop-down box that comes up. You can select groups you may like, your groups, a directory, or you can even create a group, and we're going to talk about how to do that in a few minutes. So when I clicked on groups you may like, I had several come up here. RTP Connected, Personal Branding, UNC School of Social Work. If you look on the right here, you'll see where it says View instead of Join. This means that I have already taken consideration of these and I have joined those groups. So here I have not joined yet, so I may want to take the opportunity to join this group. Please know that to join major groups, you have 50 slots to do that. And then secondary and tertiary groups are, I think, unlimited at this point. So that's something to think about and take advantage of. So now, another way to do groups, instead of coming here on this bar, once you've selected groups here, it shows up right there in groups rather than people or companies. So, for instance, I decided, well, since I'm an alumni with GSK, I want to see what's going on with the jobs out there because I'm interested in GSK. So I've typed that in, GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, and here comes the drop-down box. This is the section that I'm interested in right here, GSK Employees and Alumni Network. Okay, we have 21,000 people that are members of this group. It looks to be attractive to me. So when I select that group, this is what comes up here. The GSK Employee and Alumni Network. Well, notice here that it's come back to this section. The reason being is because I'm already a member of that group. Once I click on this particular group,
Aaron, I'm going to
yes.
interrupt you for 1 second. We have a question from S.E. Wood. Should we be selective about the groups we join, large groups or secondary?
That is a great question, and the first bit of advice I would give on that is to be completely selective. You're going to want to join groups that speak to your brand, that speak to the career target audience and market that you are selecting and pursuing. And there are large groups to join in that vein. And subgroups of those groups are also very important because there may be communication pieces, strategy pieces, job networking pieces of those larger groups that you want to be a part of. So yes, absolutely. Large or small, you must be very targeted and very strategic. I hope that helps. Okay. So moving along here, now I've selected GSK Employees and Alumni Network. Notice there is a lock next to this. That means it is a closed group. Only members that have been approved by an administrator are able to see the content on this page. I have landed on the discussions portion. Now there are many people who are either alumni or employees that are posting articles that may not necessarily have to do with jobs, but just as a way of networking, posting articles in their comments on different items. So that is something to look for because there may be a post here for a job, and there may be a post for jobs here in the next section in jobs itself. So once I've selected jobs underneath in this menu bar right here, notice that I have 16 jobs that have come up in this alumni network. It is also very important to notice that some of these jobs here are not GSK positions. Now, folks may ask why that is, and there are positions within other companies where people have worked with GSK before but know that these jobs are available in their own organization at this time, so they're posting this. So for example, this particular job right here with Otsuka Pharmaceuticals in Princeton, there are 25 people in my network alone, okay, that actually work there or are part of that organization. And so what I'm going to want to do is take a closer look at that position. So there are the networks that are involved with that particular company. You'll see on the left-hand side, as I am searching, I have a lot of different ways I can search. Okay, I can search all companies, IBM, Cisco, GSK, Bank of America, LinkedIn, and so on. Okay, these are the companies that I have been following. And so I have other locations, other ways, other means to search and to find what I need. So here are the 23 results of folks who I can connect with for that particular job.
Aaron,
yes.
We have another question. This one is from Tony. And she wrote, if someone you invited to join you on LinkedIn has and is a good professional connection, in turn has 400 connections, and your selected group of contacts may not appreciate having those 400 contacts as people in their second tier, how do you handle that?
That's a really good question. I don't know that there's a lot of control over that because the network itself is controlled by LinkedIn. The control that that individual would have would be in not inviting those other 400 people to connect with them. And that's the only answer I can give at the moment. I don't know necessarily how to handle second tier contacts that you haven't asked to be a part of your network necessarily. That is a very good question.
Aaron, we have another question that says from Taylor, aren't you able to disable viewing of your connections by others?
Yes, you are, and that's another function that I don't have here on this particular presentation, but yes, you can. And if he wants to know how to go about setting that up, we can talk offline.
Okay, great. Taylor, I will send you Aaron's contact information.
All right, so now that I've drilled down even further for this job that I'm looking for, I've noticed that this account manager for the position has two people underneath it that I have direct connections with, Jim Echeverria and Diane. So if I want to reach out for that particular job, I will do what I did in the last search for particular companies. I'm going to ask for one of these two individuals here to refer me to the hiring manager. So again, here is the position. And here is the job description for that position again. Now if you will look here where this says Apply Now, when you click this button, this is different than the other button that we saw where it said click to apply on company website. This is where you can directly apply on LinkedIn for the position. Again, this is the bottom half of the job description. And notice again, these are the people that I am connected with. Okay? And then down here there are similar jobs. Okay? Very similar to what was seen before. So now, for instance, if in terms of creating a LinkedIn group, say that you can't find any groups that meet the criteria that you would like to have for networking for your individual career track or companies that you want to create either a support group, a networking group online with LinkedIn, you can do that. So you'll notice again in the toolbar, next to contacts, you can click on groups.
Aaron, before we move into that direction, I wanted to read a quick question from Leslie in terms of how many introduction requests you are allotted for a standard membership. Apparently she asked for an introduction the other day and got a message that it had been that she had exceeded her limit and needed to upgrade. Do you happen to know what the number is?
I think it used to be 3 to 5, but I will have to check that. LinkedIn changes that a lot, so I just need to check and get a solid answer on that.
Yeah, and I would probably just add, Leslie and Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but while we're talking about groups, I mean, groups are a great way to expand your network. And so if you are a member of the same group as someone, you don't need an introduction. You can simply indicate that you're in the same group. So that helps you save some of those requests for other situations.
That's true. When you go to actually begin the LinkedIn process with that particular person in a group, sure. Again, those do not come up as selections if you have abused LinkedIn's policy of inviting people to link in with you that you do not know. So that is a safeguard that LinkedIn uses. So they give you the opportunity to connect with folks that you have relationship with, even in selecting that you're involved in the same group. But again, if that person doesn't know you, in the long run, LinkedIn will reprimand you for that. So let's take a look here again at groups. Once you have the drop-down box, you will select Create a Group. So you'll notice that this blank form comes up with a lot of options for you. The first here is your logo. If you have a logo that you've created for your group, that would be a wonderful thing for you to add as a beginning addition so people can recognize what you are communicating about your group and your message and your brand. And you're going to go ahead and click the agreement that it does not infringe on any copyright law or trademark law. Okay. You're going to want to identify your group name and the type of group. Okay. Now this group type, there's a myriad of. I didn't take a screenshot of this, but you'll have to choose what type of group it is. The summary of your group, you're going to want to enter just a really quick description, okay, of what you're about. What is the purpose of creating this group? What is the purpose of networking with this group? What is going to happen as a result? Okay, and your description would be a little bit less intense than your summary. You want to go ahead and add the website for folks to take a look at if you've created one for your group, or possibly an extension of the group would be the association that is, referenced as part of that group. So then here, you would situate your own email here as the group owner, okay, and then we're going to go look at the second half of the page here. This is the important part that I would stress here with access. You want to make sure that people request to join, okay, and you're going to want to have an email here about pre-approving members, okay, and select your language. Obviously that can be any language that you're fluent with and that your audience is speaking. And this would probably not be the best thing to select a lot of the time, because it might not be based in a single geographic location, but then again it might just be RTP connected, so it could just be RTP. So it's dependent on where you are. You do want to have this box checked for Twitter announcement for things that you want to say. You want to duplicate your efforts so that you're not doing things more than once here. And then, of course, you'll just check the agreement that you want to accept the terms of service. I suggest you read this just so that you're aware of some of the things that you can and cannot communicate. You have the option of creating this group as an open group or a members-only group. Okay? And should you get through all of this process from the first page to this and you decide to cancel, you have the opportunity right here to cancel. All right, so once you've created that group, you can search that group. You can be looking for people's postings once they've joined and you've approved them. You know, job searches and different things like that can take place once you have a group up and running. But we're going to move to a more creative search parameter here. If you will look over on the bar here, you're going to look under News. You'll highlight that and then you'll click on what's called Signal. This particular aspect of LinkedIn gives you a myriad of updates with pretty much everyone in your network. So if you will take a look here, I have 11,450 updates as of this morning. So if you want to drill down, you can certainly use this search engine on the right-hand side to be more specific and more targeted with who you want to see. Okay? First degree, second degree, everyone, and if you'll notice, I only have selected my first degree connections. So of my first degree, I have 11,421 updates. I haven't even selected second degree, which is pretty close to 850,000, and I haven't selected third degree. So that's everyone at a total of 21 million. So to drill down with all of these updates, you can certainly go and take a look at the My Industry Only. So you'll see where my stuff has come up, my connections, my first degree connections. And I can always click Show More. Okay? You can also go from All Updates to your category view. Recently connected, company updates, and so forth. There are so many categories underneath this category view, so you can selectively choose. So for example, if someone has recently connected here with someone that you want to be introduced to or connect with as well, click on their profile. So Kimberly is now connected to Felix. Well, if you have been wanting to talk with Felix for a long time and you're connected with Kimberly, this would be a good opportunity to talk to Felix and through Kimberly. Now if you move from All Updates to Category to Connection View, you're going to see what's going on with all of your connections' recent postings. Okay, so I obviously have not copied but just one of those. There are many of them underneath Sarah's update, okay, under my connections. So then I've scrolled down to my updates under, we've done all, category, connection, and now my updates. You're going to see a couple of my postings here, and if someone's liked them and whether or not it's a trending topic. This is always good when you have what you're saying and what you're posting as trending. This also helps you become more involved in the networking process where people will see if it's a trend, they'll take a look at it. Michael actually works at LinkedIn. So the next section I want to talk about as we move forward is how to upload a project that you've done on LinkedIn. Now, the most important piece of this is to put your LinkedIn profile in edit mode. So what you do is click on this where it will say edit. Now I'm actually in the edit mode. As you'll see, all the pens are out and ready for me to make my edits, okay? So at this point I'm in edit mode and I want to upload a project.
Aaron, sorry, before you get going, could you maybe provide a little bit more information as to how or why it may be valuable to upload a presentation or something along those lines?
Oh, absolutely. Again, this is a professional development thing and a branding piece for the work that you've done in the past within your discipline. Very important that you show evidence of your work online and have that available to your connections in your network. People want to see what you're about. If you're going to talk the talk, you've got to walk the walk and show your work. And this is a good way for people to actually see what you've done. It's just a really important piece. If you're going to promote yourself online, you're going to want to show yourself with that. All right, so now you'll see that I've come to the project section of my particular profile. You're going to have to add this to your profile, okay? It doesn't just automatically come up. You're going to have to go into your LinkedIn profile when you're setting up all of your different sections and add projects to it, if indeed you do have something you want to show the world. So for me, I clicked Add, and then I put this presentation in here previous to today. This has been up for a while. This was my work-life presentation that I gave at the National Association of Social Workers in 2009 at the fall conference. So what we do is we click Add, and then we're going to enter our project name, the occupation, in other words, the job, the role that you had before, the month and the year, and the URL of the project itself. Now I say that because sometimes if you enter this project URL, it's going to link to the particular company or organization where they have hosted your presentation. That's where you can put this link here. You can also add team members. Anyone in your network who was involved in this project, you can add them as a member. You can also put a brief description here of what the project entailed and what you want people to see. And then please remember to hit Save here so that it adds your project. So again, I'm going to go back to projects now that I've added it and highlighted, and it shows up in blue. When I click on this, on the blue text itself, this is what comes up. This is the NASW's current website with the particular title of my presentation, the presenter's name, the info on myself, and then clicking here for the view of the presentation. Now, this will link to their site and then to my particular media, which was a PowerPoint presentation. You have another opportunity to upload projects. You can also use Slideshare. Slideshare is a great product to use with LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, when you connect your account, your Slideshare account to LinkedIn, you're able to upload this on your LinkedIn page. So right underneath your particular summary, you can load this presentation. Now this is the way that LinkedIn has it right now. I think they're fixing this. This is kind of a bug. You can't really see what this presentation is about. But this is, again, my work-life balance presentation that I did. So when I take a look at how to add this Slideshare project, I go ahead and hit the plus like you saw before, add the title and the description, and hit Save. When someone clicks, let me go back just a second just so if there's any confusion. When someone clicks on this particular presentation right here, this is what they will see. My professional gallery of all of the Slideshares that I've given LinkedIn permission to load, and this is the only one that I have. So this is the beginning of my presentation. Anyone in my network can click on this presentation and review it. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and go through some real quick gentle reminders as we wrap up here. I want to let you guys know that if you're working, please conduct your LinkedIn activity outside of the office. And I know that sounds like a parent-child kind of thing, but what I'm saying with that is it's very easy to get caught up, even on your lunchtime, to go onto your LinkedIn page and do a lot of activity. But make sure that if you're searching for a job while you're working, do your activity outside of the office. It'll help you focus and think about the things that are important to put on those pages while you're away from work. Please make sure that your profile picture is professional. Again, we went through that in the first session that we had together, and I learned a valuable lesson with that. So I just want to remind all of you to have a professional profile picture. Go ahead and really research your target markets. Know them well. Know the companies that you're searching for. Know what's going on in the industry. Post comments and links to those particular group pages that you're interested in, and have yourself become more noticed within those groups, and have people comment on what you're saying and what you're posting, and invite people to have a conversation with you. This is the fun part. Be prepared to respond to inquiries. I mean, you're going to get them. When you've got a really great profile and you've got a really great message out there and your brand is consistent, you will start to hear and see results, and be prepared for that. I want to highlight this more than anything. I should have bolded this for everyone. Please stay in touch with your connections. When you go through the process of looking for a job and wanting a referral, this is imperative. If you leave your connections alone and you don't get involved with LinkedIn but once or twice a month, and you wind up being in a situation where you need to network to get another job or to move forward in your career, this is where it's going to happen. When staying connected and staying in touch is so vital to your career advancement. Be prepared for rejection. When you apply for jobs on LinkedIn and when you ask for recommendations or referrals for a position, sometimes those things don't come through for you. Just be prepared for that and know that that's just part of the process. People are busy. Things are happening. Just be aware that a lot of times it's really not about you, but just be prepared for that, even in your best efforts to have the greatest profile you've ever had. Be sure to get feedback from those who are coaches in your life, those who can give you strong feedback that you won't be offended in receiving. So get that feedback on your profile, on your messages, what you're saying, grammar and spelling, all of those things. Get that feedback and make sure you're doing it well. Remember to say thank you. This is a really big one for me. When someone recommends you or even endorses you, please say thank you. Send them a personal message to say thanks and hope you're doing well. Let's connect soon. This is the way to increase and broaden your scope and your professionalism online. And go for it. So I'd like to leave it open now for some questions. I know we've got a few minutes left. If anyone has some questions for us, we'd love to help you.
Great, and we have a couple points. One, Frank just wanted to remind people that employers can legally view all of your web traffic while you're using their office network. So another reason to save the networking on LinkedIn, until you get home. So thank you, Aaron, for bringing that up, and thank you, Frank, for the point.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer would like for you to maybe go back and remind us how to navigate our connections and group activity.
Okay. Is she be more specific with that? Is she talking about how to make connections, or how to view the group's activities?
Yeah, Jennifer, can you type in a little bit more detail? And Tony, thank you for saying thank you.
Yeah.
So how to view the tabs you displayed.
Okay. I'm going to do a quick thing here and just scroll back and see exactly what she's talking about. Okay, now is she talking about groups and connecting on groups, or with companies? Hold on just a second. Let me see if this is where she's talking about here. Okay, so maybe this is it. Okay. Okay, so right here, this might be what you're talking about, and if not, we can continue to drill down until you have your problem solved here. This is where you start a discussion right here on the group page. And you will actually type in your topic or a link, whatever it is that you want to talk about, and press enter when you're done. And then this is going to show up if you want to link to an image or to a website or to an article. This is where you would do it. All right. I think this might be what you're talking about here. So underneath jobs, this is the section where you have 25 people in your network, okay, right there. So you click on 25 people that's in blue. You're going to click on that. And then that's what's going to show up here on the next page. Okay, I've got 23 results actually, but these are the people that show up as a result of that click. So if that's what's helpful for you with that, is there something else you needed to see here?
To that original page you clicked on, she said, sorry, your mic isn't working, but that's it. So I'm hoping we answered that question, Jennifer, but if not, definitely you can follow up with us afterwards or type a follow-up question into the chat. Sometimes it's difficult to get across exactly what you're trying to get across over a chat. But we have another question from someone about when it comes to endorsements. And the ones we choose to add, how do we decide which ones to add or how many? And should we be very detailed in terms of specific social media platforms or just put more general categories?
Okay, so this is where I would want to talk about being a thought leader. If you consider yourself a thought leader in a certain area, say social media marketing, or say strategic planning, or coaching, any of those things you are going to want to highlight on your profile so folks can endorse you for that very thing or that very skill set when they are in relationship with you, in working with you. So you're going to want to have those things, yes, be very, very specific. And if you are a Twitter expert or a LinkedIn expert, those kinds of things you want to list.
So we're hoping that answers your question. Okay, thank you. Very helpful. Great. Glad we could address that for you. I got another question from Tony in terms of the privacy settings. Can LinkedIn members see other connections with whom you are connecting or researching? So sometimes people whose research show up in varied LinkedIn sidebars, even with the privacy settings set.
Yeah, you have to go back and make sure that everything is set privately so that your notifications are turned off, so that when you view someone else's profile, that is turned off on for you, so that they don't see you being viewed, and people can do that vice versa. And let's see, what was the other portion of that question? I want to scroll back up because I think I can see it. Let's take a look. LinkedIn members can see your activity if you have it posted. So if you view someone's profile and you haven't turned your viewing settings off, then they can see that you viewed them. So yes, there is the visibility, and then you can certainly change that visibility in your settings section.
Yes, and this also gets to the first part gets to the notifications that we talked about at the very beginning. So if you have your activity broadcast on, every time you connect with somebody, it's going to pop up a notice, right? Tony has a new connection. And so, if you are currently employed, that can be a red flag for people in your office or others that you are in a search. If you continue to pop up, connections and edits to your profile and that type of thing.
And one more quick tip as we continue to wrap up here. When you're looking for a job and you want to upgrade your account, my suggestion to you is to not upgrade to a job-seeking account. And thought leaders are saying all kinds of different things, but my suggestion is to not do that. Number one, if your employer sees that icon on your LinkedIn profile, they're going to know that you're looking. And number two, again, LinkedIn is telling companies to look for that passive candidate, those who are not in an active search but that are flourishing in what they're doing and can bring a skill set to employers with ease. So
I think it also affects how you reach out to folks. And so if you're taking the approach, and a lot of people are open to a more informational interview approach in terms of I'd like information, I'd like advice, that type of thing. When you have that job seeker status, no matter what you say in that message, they're still going to assume that's why you're reaching out to them. And so yeah, I would agree with Aaron not to go in that direction. Okay, well it is 1 o'clock. We're happy to stay on if there are more questions, but we hope you found this useful. We will have a recording available online, and we'll share the slides again. So feel free to follow up with either one of us afterwards. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of the afternoon.
Catherine, thank you so much again for having me. This has been great.
Thanks, Aaron. You are definitely an expert, and we appreciate your time.